Hello and welcome to Fine is a Four-Letter Word. Today's episode is a solo episode, and we are talking about how to love yourself because I wanted to share some insight I've gained from reading a book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It by Kamal Ravikant. So we're going to get into that. But first, I can't believe I haven't mentioned this before, or if I did, it might have been just in passing. But if you've ever wanted to get some Fine is a Four-Letter Word merch, there's a store. I have a store for Fine is a Four-Letter Word merch. You can get phone cases, you can get hats, t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, pillows, tote bags, notebooks, all kinds of stuff. This super cute little teddy bear with a shirt, a t-shirt that says Fine is a Four-Letter Word. I've got my own stuff. I've got a long sleeve hoodie, and I've got some t-shirts, and I've got a tank top that I wear to the gym. And it's kind of funny because the other day I was out walking and I was wearing one of the t-shirts. It was kind of a warm day, and I was wearing one of the t-shirts, and I'm walking back into my building, and right downstairs next door, there's a valet parking thing for the restaurant on the first floor of my building. And the four they were young guys, were like, "Oh, cool shirt." So I stopped and started talking to them about the podcast. And one of them is standing there, like pulling it up on his phone right away, going, "Oh, some of these titles look really interesting. I'm going to listen." So it was just kind of funny to me. Anyway, if you, I've talked to a bunch of people. Like a year ago, I said, "Hey, if I did a store, would you be interested in buying merch?" And people said yes. And so the store is up now and running. What is it? It is zenrabbit.printful, PRINTFUL.me, as in this stuff is for me. zenrabbit.printful.me. That's how you get to the store. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. So you can all go get your Fine is a Four-Letter Word merch. All right, now let's jump into the episode. So I read this book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It a couple weeks ago. And the reason I was introduced to it was because I saw Kamal doing an interview with one of my marketing mentors, Joe Polish. And his story is really fascinating because he wrote this book after completely hitting rock bottom. He was physically, he was on his way to being dead, and he was emotionally drained. He was financially drained. Everything was horrible. Like, it was rock bottom. Like, I should have him on the show as an interview but I think he was even way past the point of saying everything was fine. He knew everything was not fine. And doctors were giving him like 0% chance of survival. And something happened that triggered him to say, "No, I do want to live." And this book is about how he chose to go about that, and the tools he used, and the tools and techniques that he used that are really simple. That was one of the things I really liked about this book. Is it's very easy to read, it's easy to digest, and the things he recommends doing are super practical. So we're going to talk about those today. It's kind of a personal story, part self-help, and it focuses a lot on a couple of simple practices. So let's hop into it. Let me ask you, do you love yourself? And most people would probably say, yes, I do. And their actions and their thoughts would give you a different story. And I am one of those people. Like, a few years ago, if somebody had asked me that, I would have said, yeah, I think I do. I think I do. If you think you do, you probably don't 100%. And I remember being in a mastermind group, my Champions Table mastermind group, with Donnie Bovine and a bunch of my people who have become some of my best friends now, and who are actually, some of them are past podcast guests. And I'll just throw their names out there so you can go look for their episodes. Lauren Ammon and Jen Beck, in particular. But anyway, the conversation was around, do you love yourself? And it made almost everybody very uncomfortable to say yes, in part because I think your ego is like, oh, if you say you love yourself, then you're being egotistical and stuck up kind of thing. But it's not about that at all. It's not that kind of egotistical puffing yourself up and going, yeah, I'm the most awesome creature on the earth. It's not about that. So we were having this conversation in the mastermind, and one of the recommendations Donnie had was to go stand in front of the mirror and tell yourself you're proud of yourself. And I remember the first time I did it, I just burst into tears. And having somebody else tell you they're proud of you, can you accept that praise? It's not as easy as you think it is. I'll tell you what, the first couple of times it happened, because we practiced on each other, it caused it as an extreme emotional response to be able to accept that, and then to be able to say it to yourself in the mirror. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. And say it while you're looking yourself in the eye. Okay. I invite you to do this exercise and see what happens, because it will immediately help you know if you need to do some work on self-love. So, what Kamal recommended is using the phrase, well, I'll come back to that in a second. I don't want to. So let's look at this misconception that self-love is not, again, it's not about arrogance or narcissism. It's about survival and thriving. It's about, do you love yourself? Do you make choices that show you, or that indicate that you love yourself? Do you think thoughts that support that self-love as a practice? So one of the practices that Kamal instituted to help pull himself out of this very deep and very dark hole was the simplicity of repeating this phrase, I love myself. It rewires your brain. It's kind of a mantra. I prefer to use the term mantra as opposed to an affirmation. I don't know why. It's just a personal preference. They're probably very similar in what they are. The simplicity of repeating, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And he created a practice, or what does he call it? He calls it a ritual of waking up in the morning and taking 10 deep breaths, and with each deep breath in, saying to himself, I love myself, and imagining all the light from the universe coming into your brain, into your body, filling your whole body. I love myself. And then in the exhale, just letting everything else go. I invite you to do this exercise and to not allow other thoughts to come into your head. I will tell you, this is super difficult because I can do it for 3 or 4 breaths in, I love myself. And then all of a sudden my mind is wandering and I catch it and I'm like, oh, got to start over. You don't have to start over, but that's what I do for myself until I can get to 10 without having these intrusive thoughts. Not that the thoughts they can come in, but they start carrying me away. And then I lose count of how many times did I say it. So I have to go back to 1. So I invite you to implement this practice in the morning when you first wake up, before you get out of bed, or right after you get out of bed and you're in the bathroom doing your thing, but not while you're brushing your teeth, not while you're doing something else. Give yourself complete focus on yourself of repeating, I love myself, breathing in, flowing and flooding your body with light. I love myself. I love myself. And then as you exhale, letting everything else go. And then what Kamal does throughout the day is he does it throughout the day. Anytime, for example, he says when he sits down to write, he closes his eyes and he takes a deep breath and he feels love for himself and he repeats those words and and finds gratitude for the words that he's about to write to come to him easily. 10 breaths before he enters his building when he goes to work. 10 breaths before he walks into the building. I love myself. I love myself. His claim is this will rewire your brain and it will change your entire life. Things will start showing up. Things will start happening. Magic and what's the word? Magic and there was some other word. It'll come to me. Miracles. That's it. Happy miracles and magic come from repeating this. So it's only been a couple of weeks that I've been doing it. And for sure, super cool things have been happening. So I invite you to test it out for yourself and create a ritual for yourself. And then he has another ritual around going to sleep and doing it again as he's falling asleep. I love myself, breathing in. And at night, you can imagine the light of the moon coming into your body and filling your body and filling all the cells in your body and imagining that light just lighting you up from the inside out. I love myself. I love myself. And help yourself fall asleep to that. Now, he also, one of the other things he does in the morning, I don't know if he does this at night, is he listens to some meditation music. He found a piece that he really enjoys that's 7 minutes long. It doesn't have to be 7. It could be 5. It could be 10, whatever it is. If you find a piece of music, just music, no words, to help yourself get into the alpha state, the alpha brainwave state, which is that kind of half asleep, half awake state. And it just helps the brain accept this mantra into it. Let me know. Have you ever tried something like this before? And does it feel weird? Because at first it kind of feels weird. Oh, and then there's a second part that he does in the morning also, where after he repeats it while he's in bed still, he gets in front of the mirror in the bathroom, looks himself in the eye, and says it another 10 times. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Can you do that? It's the I'm proud of myself and I love myself. Can you do that? It's uncomfortable and weird at first. I get it. And you're going to see amazing results if you stick with it for 30 days. And sticking with it even when you don't feel like it. Like maybe you made a stupid mistake or something you think is a stupid mistake, right? There are no such things. But you said something that you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I wish I could take it back. Or you make you do something that just wasn't up to your standards or something like that. No matter what, you still love yourself. Do it even when you don't feel like it. And if you need to, put sticky notes around to remind yourself. Set a reminder in your phone. I have a random time set on my phone that every day it goes off. Well, it goes off at the same time every day, but I never, so silly. I never remember. Every time it goes off at 11:24. I don't know why I picked that number. It's just did. At 11:24, an alarm goes off on my phone and it's reminding me to visualize and do this self-love mantra. So I recommend setting an alarm on your phone to remind you to do it throughout the day and come back and let me know what happens. So some of the things that happen when you change your relationship to yourself and you learn how to love yourself better. We talked about some of this in episode 141 with Brad Chandler, who is a coach and hypnotherapist, and his whole platform is all about loving yourself and how it changes everything in your life When you love yourself, you not only love others better, you not only are able to serve others better, you become healthier and you make better decisions. Like, this is proven in science and research that when you love yourself, you make better decisions. You have better relationships. Your work performance is better. Your health is better. You shift from that place where everything's fine to being fully alive, because self-love influences how you show up in the world. You may already be doing some self-love practices without even realizing it. Some people will think that, so for example, yeah, sure, getting a massage on a regular basis is a form of self-love. You're treating yourself well. To me, working out in the gym or wherever, walking, it doesn't have to be in the gym. Giving yourself some physical exercise is a self-love practice. Eating healthy, self-love practice. Drinking enough water, keeping yourself hydrated, self-love practice. Staying out of drama and conflict for the most part. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable, I get it, but staying grounded when you are in it, self-love practice. One of the other points Kamal makes in the book, or one of the other things he recommends, is to think about, before you do something or before you make a decision, if I loved myself, that's the question. If I loved myself, would I stay in this relationship? If I loved myself, would I allow myself to be talked to in this way? If I loved myself, would I eat this food? Would I have this drink? Would I stay up this late? Whatever it is, ask yourself that question. I've been doing that too. It's really interesting. If I loved myself, would I do this thing or not do this thing? When you frame it that way, coming back to making better decisions, you may still choose to have the ice cream or the chocolate cookies. And again, nothing wrong with treating yourself. Asking yourself that question frames it a little bit differently, gets you to stop and think for a moment. Well, sure, I'll have these cookies. If I loved myself, I would have these cookies because I deserve a treat. Okay. If I loved myself, would I skip my workout today? No, I wouldn't. I would go and do it even though I don't feel like doing it. If I loved myself, would I stay in this horrible, awful job? Would I work with this client just because they're going to pay me money? If I loved myself, would I? See what happens. See how that changes your world. All right. So today's challenge is saying I love myself consistently for a week and noticing the shifts. And if you like what's happening, continue on for 30 days and see how much and in what ways your life changes. And I invite you to share your experiences with me on LinkedIn or Instagram on how this practice can help move you from fine to beyond fine. All right. And if you are interested, again, the name of the book is called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And the author is Kamal Ravikant. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And remember, fine is a 4-letter word, merch. Fine is a 4-letter word, merch. Available at zenrabbit.printful.me. Thanks so much for listening today on Fine is a 4-letter word.